All right, hello to everybody out there that is interested in these GM 4.3 Ecotec or LV1, LV3, V6 engines. Want to do a little short video about the water pumps. Probably seen some of my other videos before. I'm not really very good at this, but I thought this might be worth sharing. Only because I couldn't find a lot out there, and I thought I'd share a little knowledge. So anyway, I have 3 water pumps that I considered when I was building my project, and my project behind me is it's a 93 Nissan 300ZX with the LV3 in it, out of a 2014 GMC Sierra. So we'll get to that one in a minute. But so first, the problems that I ran into. So the only vehicle that I know of, or that I could find, that actually came with power steering was the 2018 Express and up. I don't know when they quit making them, but anyway, I happened to be in the junkyard for another reason, and I knew this vehicle was, or I knew that van carried this motor, so I happened over there and found one in there. It was totaled in the front, and this water pump's actually junk, but I snagged it off there anyway to have something that I could fit and try in my project, just to see how things would lay out and fitment inside the bay. So all of these offer some little different packaging, and they have some advantages and disadvantages. If you're looking at this, I got that red line drawn on this piece of scrap wood that I had laying around, and that is the upper of the 3, I should say 6 bolts that hold the water pump, and they kind of center it. If you can see these upper lines, and I've got it close, just hanging in with some drywall screws. But so anyway, we're looking at the front on here, and you can see kind of where the placement is. And like I said, 2018 Express with the LV1. Now, the reason why I was interested in this one is this bracket here is actually a power steering pump bracket, and it goes somewhere along in here and goes to the head, and then you can actually put an old style mechanical pump onto that bracket, and you could run power steering that way. So I picked that up solely for this purpose, and then went ahead and got everything that went with it, just to see what it turned out. And of course, this one will take a clutch fan. This one's locked up. But and then your alternator, or sorry, your AC compressor sits down low on the passenger side, down below the pump, and just tucked into the block. What's neat is one of your options here is your thermostat housing here comes out on the passenger side, and your 2 heater hoses are coming out here also. The alternator that would go right in that location. All 3 of these brackets will utilize the same alternator. They fit in every one of them. And also, I had all these on the 4.3 block, and I know this is the same architecture as the LT Series V8, and that's what originally drew me to this engine, is the compact size and lightweight. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind it, and I'm sure that's why you're here, is because you're interested also. So there's the 2018. Again, got a mechanical power steering pump, and it uses the long crankshaft pulley, so to speak. And so does this one. This is my one that came off my motor, and it is a 2014. What's different about this is, see how high your water neck is, and you've got both of your inlet and your outlet on the driver's side. So although you could plumb it, the reason I had to get away from this or keep looking was the fact that the water neck sits so high on top of the engine. And on most trucks or Jeeps or whatever, it wouldn't be a problem. But when you have a low hood line, like in a car, it turns out to be as high as the, actually it was a little bit taller than the rocker cover on the driver's side. So I was running into some issues there, looking for a custom water neck, and or some type of I don't know, pressurized tank, and then rerouting of hoses. And anyway, that got all convoluted, and I was looking for saving weight and simplicity, and this wasn't it. I do want to show you though here that this bracket, this big piece here, when this is mounted, you got both of your heater hose lines here, but actually this sits on top of this in a way, somewhere like that, and that's where your alternator sits above there. And then again down here, I need a third hand, but you can see below my left hand is where the AC compressor would fit. And all 3 of these, again, or both of these, used that long crankshaft pulley. Well, I was running out of options, and I just cross-referenced the 4.3's harmonic balancer, a crankshaft pulley with the V8, and they're the same part number. So I kind of had the idea that they were a neutral balance because of that. So I went ahead and jumped off and went into the arena of the LT1 drive, and that's what actually worked out great for this car with this low hood line. So what you're looking at is I went to the GM Performance Parts catalog where the LT1 crate motor was, and I started pulling part numbers for their accessory drive. And of course, this is the water pump, fits a Camaro, and what it does is it puts if you look where this is at, this hood line, it puts the thermostat outlet slightly below my radiator connection there, so I don't have any problems with getting any bubbles trapped in it. I've been driving it and I haven't had any issues. It stays really cool. But to do this, again, I couldn't find any information anywhere, so I just was kind of experimenting. A lot of it I bought off Rock Auto, but the castings I bought directly from a GM parts house. So let me show you what I had to modify. If you look down in here, and this is the driver's side part of the engine, and there's one bolt, the head of it is a lot shallower than the one right above it. So I milled the top of that off, and not only that, but I also shaved it. It looks like they're touching, but there's actually a little air gap there. I also shaved the back of the water pump, and a little bit of the timing chain cover came off, but I think a lot of that I left alone. So I mean, obviously with doing anything, you're getting into the water jacket of that casting, but it's pretty thick right there, and it worked out fine. And I did it without the gaskets, and I did some measuring, and it all turned out right. I didn't want to take anything off I didn't have to, but everything's tightened down and it works great. Unfortunately though, I could not use that GM bracket for a power steering pump. So, if a guy can do a little bit of welding, what I made was just 2 pieces of plate steel with a piece of tubing in the middle. And I mean, I used a lathe to cut them down precise, or not a lathe, but a mill to get the surfaces parallel. But I don't think it would have to be. If you're careful, it could be done pretty well. But back to my story, this is a power steering pump off of a Jeep Liberty, and I think it's a V6. And I'll have to get the year for you if anybody really wants to know. But a quick look through. I love Rock Auto. Their catalog, you'll be able to pick that one out. I think it was in the mid 2000s, but it came off the 3.7, I think. Don't quote me. Anyway, so utilizing their pulley that was designed for that pump and their pump, I liked it because it was surface mount, so I could make the plate and drill holes through it, and it lined right up, and I got it level. And I used it's actually a Duramax diesel idler pulley. I cut this bracket again out of plate, cleaned it up real nice, and that is my way I can get a belt on a power steering pump. Got a custom length belt. I just found the dimension and then went through the catalog and found one the right length. All right, so you can also see here the Camaro Corvette balancer, which brought the whole accessory package tied her up against the engine. So long story short, if you need, I guess, a lower profile front end, the Camaro works good, but it does throw the water pump. It's not quite wider than it's a little wider than the block, but it's not any wider than the exhaust. You have to make a mount for your power steering, but I do have an opportunity still to put air conditioning on it, and the air conditioning would go, I don't know if you can see this hole very good or not, air conditioning would go right there, and I do have the room. I just not priority yet. Anyway, good luck with your LV3 build, and so far I can say I really enjoy it. The car's got a lot of power, and it's very light, and I'm really happy with my choice. Thanks. One thing I want to add before I wrap this up is if you do go with the Camaro, another thing you might be able to tell here, See that casting bump right there? That's where the there usually is like a hose barb there, some kind of a GM style quick connect coupler that goes down to the engine cooler, and you'll have to. I chose to pull it out. I think you could probably put a hose cap on it, but I just wasn't confident in a hose cap with a hose clamp on it lasting, so I pulled it out of there. You get it hot, pair of vice grips on it, take care of it, and then I tapped it. It'd also be a great place to add an additional like temperature probe if you're going to run mechanical gauges, because this one is the one that is hooked to the ECM. If you choose to run, you know, use gauges off the ECM, or you go with mechanical. I ended up putting my mechanical gauge off at another location due to how these need to have their what do you call it, their heater hoses constantly flowing. You can't block them off, so I ended up with a block on this side that has a bypass in it. I chose that place to put my factory temperature probes, but either way, thanks again.